my family there. I was very young and I was entering high school. I had a kind of a weird accent. I wasn't wearing cool clothes. And yeah, I was a bit of a nerd. In my culture, nerds are good though. I eagerly participated in class discussions and I would raise my hand. And yes, I was the smart girl with the right answers. But I wasn't aware of the social dynamics. One day at the end of class, two girls, Ella and Yolanda, they bullied up on me and they started racial slurs. You Packy, you stupid Packy, go back home, you think you're too smart. And then they threw me down on the floor and kicked me with their feet. No one said a word. No one. That was a very sobering moment for me. Fortunately, in this hostility, I found two friends. They came to my rescue. They were my defenders. One was an Iranian Jew girl, and one was a Hindu Indian girl. Think about this. Being a Muslim Pakistani, I was told not to be friends with Indians, Hindus, and Jews. But who walked me home for the next 2 weeks while I was being harassed? It was these two girls. Reflecting on my family's heritage, I realized the resilience ingrained in my heritage, despite the bloody partition of India and Pakistan, which resulted in immense loss of life and hardship. My ancestors, like yours, only focused on building a better future rather than dwelling on the past. This lesson became even more significant to me as I became a mother and then a teacher moving to California. And I remember my father, when I moved here, he sat me down and he said, Anila, work with the people of the book, the Jews, and learn from them. They are Ahle Kitab, they are people of Abraham. I didn't know the significance of those words, but I can tell you that I sat down with my Jewish friends in the city of Irvine in California, and we founded the first Muslim women's civil rights organization called American Muslim Multifaith Women's Empowerment Council. So at AMMWEC, we empower women to fight hate. We empower them to fight extremism, discrimination, and yes, we take tours of Muslims to Israel. Why? Because we want them to check their bias and to meet the Israelis and ask questions and get to know them. It's not just Muslims, though, who have to check their bias, right? It's also many groups in America today, like the progressive left. After 9/11, I was profiled at the border, and because of my Pakistani origin, and I saw like a lot of Muslims were being targeted. Even myself in my classroom, I was called terrorist. Miss Ali, do you like ISIS? No, I don't. Are you Taliban? No, I'm not. And that happened to a lot of Muslim kids. But we were not raised to be victims. So I made a documentary, and we exposed the pain of airport profiling. That resulted in 6 million people, Americans on hold, being taken off the profiling list. And today we know it as global entry. But then you know how life is. Again, I was called a terrorist by my colleague, and I was called a sleeper agent. My colleague thought that my kids were also sleeper agents going to UCLA. But it was my Jewish mentor who came to me and said, Anila, what can I do for you? Let's write a book together. And that book turned out to be a beautiful springboard for discussion in a post-9/11 classroom. A Muslim, Christian, and a Jewish teacher standing there talking to kids like you. That's America. But my dear young people, it's time for you to take that challenge. I know that some of my Muslim kids have succumbed to that extremist ideology fueled by misinformation and hatred. When I took a tour of Muslims to Israel in May 2022, right, before October 7th, I took a Jew from Pakistan and he wanted to pray at the kotel. My super smart Pakistani Muslim intern sent me a message saying, Miss Ali, I'm not going to post anything for you because you're in an apartheid Zionist state. They kill Muslims. I can't work for you anymore. He was in high school. In November 2023, after the attack on Israel by Hamas, I took another group of Muslim women leaders to Israel. My 20-year-old Muslim intern from Johns Hopkins University wrote to me, Anila, how could you work with the Jews? They are cursed, and we are told that in the Quran, don't ever be friends with them, Christians and Jews. You know, I engaged in rebuttal, and then I found her ideas to be really violent and extremist. And so today, I'm really heartbroken that the very people who taught us how to lift our head up high and live in this great country, who mentored us, who embraced us, are now thought of as enemies. And our kids are being taught to hate in college campuses and schools. I hope that in the next few years, we can all understand the connectivity of the Jewish world to Israel. In the Quran, you are called Bani Israel, the children of Israel. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, his grandmother and his mother belonged to Jewish tribes in Medina. So let me tell you, as a Muslim fighting anti-Semitism, I can tell you, do not be fooled. Anti-Israel is anti-Semitism. We don't hear the hate for Myanmar, despite the Rohingya genocide. Iranians, nobody remembers the martyr Mahsa Amini. Nobody talks about the Iranian regime. Nothing much about Afghanistan, when I myself have seen women being stoned. The Somalian genocide, the Cambodian genocide, the Rwanda genocide, the Yazidi genocide, the Uyghur genocide, and the Syrian. But nobody talks about that. But everyone is focused on this one small country in the Middle East. You know why? Because they are Jews. Even the UN is not critical of the gross violations of human rights, women's rights in Afghanistan and in Iran, but everyone is obsessed with Israel. Let me tell you why. Jews are a small group of people. They are contributors to the world. You are the producers of knowledge, science, technology, medicine, art, culture. You are the producers, the creators, and thinkers. That's a lot of resentment against you. You've excelled in academia, in research, and guess what? You have turned deserts into oases. Wow, that is so much to be proud of. But sorry to say, others have missed out. They've been consumers while you've been producers. I hear a lot of that. I hear, WhatsApp, it must be the Jews. COVID vaccine, it must be the Jews. But we don't like Israel, but we're not going to boycott WhatsApp. Fiverr, all of these great platforms. I say to my fellow Muslims, you can do that too. We as Muslims had a golden era of Islam. And you know when that was? That was in Iraq, when Muslims, Jews, and Christians sat together and did research together. They wrote books. And that was the most beautiful time of Islam. We reminisce that past. That resentment, though, is a killer. I'm here to tell you, hold your ground. You are a Jewish nation, and this is testament to it. You'll hear from all over the world, and you are all united, one people. And wow, BBYO, for doing that. That's what's going to keep you forever young. When they don't let you go to hospital, you build one. When they don't let you go to university, you build one. You have moral clarity. You're givers. You give to the entire world. Tikkun olam. I want to take this to the rest of the world. You are not a victim. You are the problem solver. We need to learn from you, like we did in the golden era of Islam. Sit and have these conversations. And remember, together as Muslims and Jews, we have many shared values, many shared traditions. And my source of faith is Prophet Abraham, peace be upon him. We don't have to replace each other. We have to cooperate. We have to live together. And I have witnessed this transformative power of love and dialogue in combating hate. And so I ask you to join me for the next 100 years. Let us stand together and fight this hate, fight this anti-Semitism, so we can be forever young. God bless you all. Thank you. Like a small